Yo, 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 what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. To all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. And give y'all a little bit of time to tune in case these notifications ain't go out. First things first, hopefully everybody having a blessed and productive Wednesday. Hopefully everybody smoothly able to get through the work week. We almost to the weekend, man. Almost to the weekend. Keep your heads up, keep your spirits high, and if you got plans, especially for those celebrating or those who are going to be doing the traditional Mother's Day get-togethers, etc., etc. Again, make sure that you're keeping yourself safe. Make sure you're keeping yourself as healthy as possible. If you feel any type of way about anything, definitely check out. It's definitely important for you to do so. Also, for those who could be going through, specific traumas right now, traumatic events right now, definitely healing prayers to those who need it. Um, Definitely need it at this moment because there's a lot of people right now who have been through the rig works, but nonetheless, again, when life throws you a whole bunch of curveballs, got to swing back. Appreciate everybody that tuned in Monday for the conversation. Um, Apologies for yesterday. Yesterday was kind of a fairly busy day, but a off day on top of it. But appreciate those who tuned in last night for the Clapper live stream. Definitely was a great one. Good vibes as always. Tonight I'm gonna try to cover one or two little things. Um, Before I do, know myself already. I know myself. Um, One thing I am gonna say though, and I want to say that especially to some of you men who might be becoming parents or already parents of sons. Um, there's a way to discipline your sons and your daughters, and you don't necessarily have to do it to where you are scarring a child. Given case, all right, you are a single father, you're doing what you possibly can for your child, and that's commendable. Trying to make sure you're raising your kid to the highest elevation and standards, but also on the same token, yeah, you can't treat them like they some next random dude in the street or somebody that you're about to fight. Um, I've always felt when you get ready to rear up and fight your children or look like you about to fight your children, that's a problem. That's a instance that you need to get yourself in order, catch yourself, because again, it is about having that emotional intelligence and awareness when needed. Keith, what's going on, my guy? Now, give or take, if your child is acting up, prime example, okay. If you already informed your child about the consequences for them acting up, whether it's school, whether it's anything along those lines, gotta make sure that you stand on it. But in the same token, know what you're gonna do before you do it. I'm sorry, because I didn't really have to do that to my brother. You know, me and him might have had our fallouts here and there, but it's always gonna be like that. The younger brother think they know enough than the older brother, etc., etc. But nonetheless, I didn't have to get crazy with him. I didn't have to get physical with him, not unless I necessarily had to. And even when then, I didn't have to even get like how some people I've seen doing this as of recent. Um, Videos floating on here or just floating out in general. Look, um, if your child is acting up in school, there's a way to deal with that. The way you're supposed to deal with it, in my opinion, it shouldn't have to be at a cost to where you look like you're crazy. Granted, even if you did purchase what you purchased, just take the stuff away. Like, why would I break something for my child, especially if it could be their birthday coming up? Okay, if they got a report or they got me called about certain things going on, whatever I planned on giving that child, I would just, you know, take it back. Or look here until I hear something better, or until you learn that you could actually be trusted and you could behave. That's a dub. You can't get that. I don't gotta get violent, crazy, or anything along those lines just to make sure that my child is listening to me. See, I knew people, and I still know people right now. They didn't necessarily have to do too much anything physically wise because either the voices alone scared the shit out of their kids, or just the fact that once it's a certain tone, that means yeah, your father or your mother mean business. But I'm gonna say that again to the single fathers out there, because there's some of y'all that are actually portraying and actually, sorry, you're giving the vibes of how a single mother would be doing. They're trying to raise sons. Again, I'm not gonna break something that I purchased for my, even if I purchased it for my child. Why would I purchase something and then break it? All that I could just sit here and say, well, you know what? Until you start doing well, until I see that you improve and that you're actually taking things seriously, then what I have for you, you're gonna have to wait. You done broke the boy phone, done broke his. I'm guessing that was a laptop he bought him and something else. You broke all of whatever you supposed to be getting for him for his birthday because he got a bad report. You could have just simply said, all right, well, I'll take all of this and I'm gonna put this up. But the way you was doing it, again, you could have caused trauma to that boy. And you don't even know that. See, there's some of y'all that when you start getting real violent and with crazy, yeah, you kind of scare people, kind of scare them kids like into anything, kind of make them feel like you could be a danger to them. And that's not the way you instill fear into your children. It's not so much about instilling fear. It's about instilling respect and morals, but also teaching them about taking accountability and responsibility again. You know, and I say that because you got to look at it from that standpoint too. If you're constantly doing that around children, they going to not just fear you, they might have resentment for you. You could cause some form of scarring. If they decide to unleash whatever pain and misery and sorrow they have tucking from the things they're seeing on a day-to-day basis, you are basically creating a monster. You're creating something that you know for a fact you're trying to not build. Children, again, should never fear coming to their parents, or they should never fear that their parent could actually go well above the deep end because of anger. But I would say for some of them young men too, you gotta listen to what's necessary. If your father is teaching you and your father is doing the right things by you, um, it's not that hard for y'all to sit down and listen. You know, prime example. The most I could tell you is listen, just behave. You get to school, you do what's necessary. You know, I don't care what's going on in class. If nobody else want to learn, you sit there and learn because this is your importance right here. This is you trying to learn more than just basic reading and writing. It's you trying to get knowledge on some of the historic events and everything else that are actually true historic events. Marlene, what's going on, baby? Bonnie, what's going on, baby? But you gotta be real with yourself. Um, with some of y'all, your parents don't ask for y'all to do much, but just try to at least be something in life. You know. Now we get it. There's some situations where you got parents who are overbearing, obsessive, and to a point where it's almost like you're trying to have your children live out something that you can't live out. Even if you are in a good position, you still want your children to be where you felt you should have been at, and that's not the way to look at it. Cindy Lou, what's going on, baby? But this is why I said, it is critical for you to be aware of what you're saying and what you're doing to your children, because the things you say and do, especially if it seems like you're giving them the aggression of a enemy in the streets or enemy that you don't like, that's a problem. I granted, yeah, your child should have listened and shouldn't have got no bad report. But in the same token, you could have just took the stuff back, or you could have just put the stuff up. Well, you won't be getting this, and you won't be getting this until you improve. You ain't have to sit there, break everything in front of him, and then you blowing up to him like you ready to fight him. Like that's not the way you move. That's not the way you discipline your children. Again, yes, you are supposed to discipline if necessary, but you don't discipline them like you ready to fight them or you ready to have a boxing match with them. Especially when they still little and scrawny. Like you don't do that. You don't. And just like I said, you will cause a traumatic event or an effect on that child because now that child is going to take that aggression, that fear, and now they're going to try to put that out there in the universe. Again, the one thing, yeah, children are supposed to be disciplined when necessary. They are supposed to learn accountability and responsibility when needed. And also, in the same token, again, they shouldn't have to resent or fear coming to their parents for anything. You ain't pulling up nothing, hood. You know what here? I knew you was coming in here with that madness. You just mad because LeBum got swept. Well, since LeBum got swept, hold on one second, son. I got something for you, son. I got something for you, son. New troll drop, son. New troll drop, son. Hold on, we got you. We gonna treat you like a troll today. Here, hold this.
Okay. Locked up. Does pivot, gets into the edge and wins by you. And Hakaro still leads on his own.
Gonna do this one more time for that sweep last week.
Okay. Locked up. Does pivot, gets into the edge and wins by you. And Hakaro still leads on his own.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Now I feel a little better. Nah, but you gotta realize that part. The kids are supposed to have the utmost respect for you, utmost honor. And yes, you are supposed to, have a certain balance. Not saying that you're not supposed to. You are supposed to have a different balance when it comes to raising your children. Again, you can't um, treat them like they're the next nigga in the streets. Because again, that's not the whole purpose. The purpose is giving them discipline and showing them what accountability is and showing them how to take the responsibility in that. Appreciate you, Cindy, baby. But this is what I'm saying. Like, there's some of y'all who are, you've shown the characteristics of the single mothers. And not saying all single mothers is raising their sons and their daughters to just be too emotional and just throwing them out there in the world. No, no, no. But you're giving them the vibes like the ones who are resentful and bitter. And again, that's not cool, fellas. Again, if you're the one that's raising your children, I gotta make sure you are giving a decent balance, but also remember, family structure, it does need to be balanced. Let me see. Jerry, the trainer. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see if I'm gonna snipe him out there. Let me see if I'm gonna snipe him out of here real quick. I know. That's why you single. You came in here on thirst tip. Look at you. Look at you. As soon as you seen women name in here, oh, let me come in here. Let me come in here. Oh, oh. Well, since you single, yeah, take this with you too. But again, you gotta have a form of discipline. Again, for you single fathers out there, you have to have a form of discipline the way you don't go above and beyond, and you definitely don't mess up anything. That's the worst thing too. Prime example is getting your children taken away by child services, especially if people feel your children are in danger. So again, fellas, you got to be mindful. Now, see, like I was talking about Monday about the dude losing his mind because what his girl did and everything else. Yeah, he was validated to do that, and also it wasn't no children around. So that was another form of emotional intelligence and awareness. I'm not gonna do this while my child is here. If I gotta let off some steam, I'm gonna make sure my child does not see me at my worst peak. Because even that will draw some form of fear. I think that's sad again when you got children who could be. Yeah, apologies for that one. We're in the same token. You got to start being more wise. All right, if you done told your child more than once something and they still doing the same thing, you might have to discipline just so they know it's not a game. But in that same token, too, come on now. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to do so. Now it's a difference if your child done read up at you or bucked up at you like they was ready to try to scuffle with you. And even still, you would have to be wise in how you handle that situation. Because prime example, if your child is not strong enough and you decide to say, "Oh, here, hold this," you can't hurt them. But again, you are supposed to be, you know, showing them discipline. You know, sometimes you might have to take things away from them because again, that's the best way to get through to them. Oh, so since you can't listen to what I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna do this instead. That game system, yeah, you got to pack it up. All devices until I see better, until I hear better, gotta go. And see, that's kind of how it was back in the day. If we wasn't doing the things we were supposed to be doing, if we wasn't keeping up with our end of the bargain on things, it was taking away whatever it is that we had. It could have been the simplest things. Even back in the day, it could have been the simplest thing like the toys that you play with. Okay, well, until your teacher tell me something better or until I hear something better, until I see you improving even in here, nah, you know, you don't get no benefits. Because again, how do you think to reward children when they messing up? Now, granted, he didn't reward that child because that child messed up, and it's the way you did it. That again, you could have sparked fear, or even that child could have feared danger and called child services on. And now look, now you gotta be monitored, or they gotta keep coming to check in because of what you said it did. You're not supposed to prepare them for that. Not supposed to prepare them like they gotta be fearful and danger in their own home. Just be wise. All right, when your children decide not to do right, all right, you know how to discipline. If you know what's gonna actually get them in line, even if you have to take it away, you take it away. The more you keep coddling, the more you keep encouraging, it's gonna get worse. Just like I was saying the other day, um, shoot, cops chasing them. My fault. Somebody being chased today. So as the weather get nice, y'all. So as the weather get nice. But yeah, like prime example, I've always felt that when your children start doing certain things like falling out in public or screaming and yelling or they pulling away from you, things on those lines. Like when they're young like that, yeah, you must discipline them. And there's also a way to discipline them. Now, when they older or even when they're in their teen stages and they're trying to buck up and rear up, you just gotta know how to do it. Oh yeah, cops definitely after them. I'm gonna get on that in a minute too. So I see where this is going. And I'm gonna see a lot of this summer. But I'll get to that in a minute. But again, fellas, if you're raising your children by yourselves, at least for now, one thing you will want to do at some point is find you a decent lady that's good with kids, so on and so forth. Especially if you have moved on and you're doing what you need to do. At some point, you're gonna have that structure and that balance. Because what child don't want to have a good mother and a good father in the household? It's actually about something. It's actually about raising them and loving them. Blackout, what's going on, my guy? You already know if y'all just tuned in the like button. But you gotta really take that into strong consideration. You know, and I would say the same thing for some of you single women out there. Again, gotta be careful on the choices that you make. And if you're gonna make them choices, especially if it is supposed to be for the betterment, then you gotta know exactly who's with you, who's against you. You're gonna have to do so. Because again, you don't want to just put any woman around you if you want somebody that's gonna be in your child's life. And vice versa. You ladies shouldn't just want any random person around your children at all. You know, it's about just really sitting down and having a strong conversation, like I was saying the other day. You find out exactly what the person is looking for, so on and so forth. If they fit your criteria, hey, you do so. But again, it is critical again to just make some good choice decisions. Be surprised how far you get with those decisions you make. See, when I said fathers are needed in the household, they are needed in the household. Because again, they're gonna give that balance when it comes to not just their sons, but their daughters as well. Their daughters will sit there and know what to look for when it does come down to some form of a good man in life. You know, especially if they got one that's there on a constant. So like I said, start being more responsible, fellas. And if you are in a situation where you could possibly do what's necessary, then you do it. But I would say again, also in that notion, for some of you women that need to hear it again, if you got good people, even if you didn't last in a relationship or anything along those lines, again, it is important that y'all figure out some form of common ground and figure out how you're gonna raise this kid together. And the one thing that should never be done, in my opinion, is again using these kids as pawns, using these kids to keep them away from their fathers, especially if their fathers are not messed up individuals. Ollie, what's going on, baby? Denise, what's going on, baby? Those who might be coming in just now, yeah, we kicked out a newbie. Came in here, seen a couple females' names, and yeah, tried to shoot his shot. But this is all I seen when he tried to do that. Yeah, my bad. That's all I seen when he did that. No, but again, it is about decisions and critical steps you're gonna need. You got to remember that you cannot use these kids as pawns, and you definitely can't keep them away because again, that right there will cause a traumatic event. Did we not have this conversation a while back? And I know that was a video that went all the way around the damn, lady lying about her father, or lady lying about her child's father the whole time. Basically, you gonna sit there and tell her that man left, didn't want to be bothered, and that man ain't know not a damn thing about it. That's the problem. You can't do shit like that. Sorry, because again, what does that say? That you willing to lie just to try to keep hold and form of something. This is what I was saying about people needing to let go of the control vice grip. You can't control everything. All right, if things didn't work out with this dude, don't matter if y'all both, had love and care for each other. If things didn't work out on that level, okay, well, you still want to have to figure out how you work together, to build these children together. I ain't gonna lie. I said that same thing a while back when I heard that because the way this dude was, You could tell like he was emotional about it, but in the same token, these are the effects sometimes. Because again, you got some single mothers who, whether they got sons, daughters, or both, they raise them the right way to where they know their roles in society. But again, there's just going to be some things that woman is not going to be able to teach a man to do. That's why, again, the fathers are necessary. Not trying to be funny at all. And honestly, I've always felt like this. If you're going to lie to your children about their fathers, that should be a crime. Because look at how many people, like prime example, I said that a while back about this dude finding out he done missed out 20 years of his child's life. And the lady act like she didn't give a damn. Like, how would you lie and sit there and say that? First of all, you gonna lie and say that the father was deceased, knowing damn well the father was still in the area. You didn't live far from him. You sat here and said that it wasn't his child. And this is what I'm saying. You can't do stuff like that. And I believe that not everybody is meant to be parents. I'm sorry, some are not meant to be parents. Some of y'all need parenting classes. I'm sorry because the way y'all think to parent your kids, this is why we are getting some of the forms of ignorance that we getting in the society now. That's just like if you bully your children at home, now they're gonna take all of that and go to school with it. Or they're gonna go outside the area and do that. It's not cool. Not cool at all. Mountain girl, what's going on, baby? And that's the problem. Again, some of y'all making decisions, and then in the same token, not trying to live up to those decisions you made. So then now again, who suffers and takes the blunt end of it? Children. Again, you know, there's ways to do things when it comes to parenting. There's ways to do things even if you're a guardian to somebody, whether it's your immediate family or not, you're adopting the kid or not. There's ways to deal with things to where you don't have to necessarily stretch too much. Papa Will, what's going on? And again, I would say for some of you who could be young parents, and I'm saying young parents as far as early 20s, if you still feel like you don't have a clue on what's going on, the most important thing you can do well before that baby come is take some form of parenting course, childbirth classes, all of that. It's going to give you some form of knowledge and wisdom, especially if you are clueless to what the hell is going on. I hear you, Papa Will. And that's the thing, though. You just got to remember that. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy step because, you're dealing with a young bundle of joy trying to raise it right. You know, it's going to be hard at first because, you're going to have sleepless nights because that baby is either going to be too cranky, hungry, whatever. Things you're going to have to deal with. And I've always said, if you're not prepared for that, then you should think twice before you even decide to do anything and bring any children in the world. And I'm saying that on both angles. I know it's going to be a lot of restless nights. Trust me, I went through it. And that's what you're going to have to do. You know, if you ain't prepared to get up, fix them bottles, and sit up and just really try to bond with your child, guess what? You're going to have a long journey. Some people are stressed out to a point because, again, this is what babies are going to do. They're going to cry. It's mostly what they're going to do. They're going to eat, sleep, shit, and cry. And when they are happy, shoot, that's because you're doing what's necessary. You're giving them some form of stimulation. You know, you're giving them the love and the bond and the attention that they crave, especially when they are that young again. And when they do start getting to an age where they can start really understanding things better and seeing what you're talking about, then that's when you break down certain key elements that you need to break down for. Like the difference between right and wrong, good and right, the difference between right and wrong, you know, being safe and being careless, so on and so forth. You give those facts little by little as they grow. So they do get a better understanding. And sometimes you might have to revisit one or two things just to make sure they got it down pat. Because that's the most you want your child to do. Whether you putting your child in the school system or whether you decide to homeschool, regardless of how you do things with your children, one thing your children should have is some form of, again, knowledge of the world around them. Also, just having common sense and common logic. They definitely need recreation, you know, and they need to do a lot of mingling and socializing because that's how you build what you build. How you think you're going to gain friends if you're not out and about in the world meeting new people? You just got to remember that part too. They need a healthy balance, just like as adults. We all need a healthy balance. Even when you do have children, yeah, you still need your balance. Yeah, most of your time is going to be spent trying to make sure your children are right. But when you do got those times to be away from the children, that's when you take your time and you relax, release, have some form of fun. You know, that's just like if you able in areas where you rent the cabin for the weekend or something like that. Hey, if you're able to do something along those lines when you don't have the children, go do so. That's another way, in my opinion, you keep your marriage and your relationship sparked up. When the kids ain't around, yeah, you release, you relax, you decompress. Basically, that's necessary for parents. It's like it's necessary. Period. You can't sit here and possibly think about anything else if your mind is cluttered. So you got to remember that part as well too. It's good to take some time when you need to. And if you got parents or shoot, you got people who are willing to help you in certain situations when you need the time, hey, take advantage of that. And not take advantage of it in the bad way. When you know you definitely need the time, hey, you go make the time. It's real facts right there. You know, when you get into that stage again, you'll know what's necessary. You know. But again, the worst thing you can do as a parent is make your children feel like they're in danger of losing their life or possibly be hurt. Again, it's more about that emotional intelligence and awareness. I could be at my angriest, but do I let my child see that I'm at my angriest? No. Because I don't want my child to emulate or do anything that I've done and then go out in the world and do it. Like, I'm not showing anything good if I'm being emotional, prime example, punching holes in walls and doing things out of anger. No, that will put children in fear. First things first, they're going to think their father either crazy or too unstable. And then they might actually think, maybe he might hurt me at some point. Maybe I should just not do certain things, or maybe I should just fear for my life, period. Like, and it shouldn't be that way. But this is the one thing I will say though. Regardless of what, you have to build some form of bond and get some form of, you know, good things with your kids while you can. Your main thing, all in all, is again trying to keep them preserved. Definitely trying to make sure that they're not getting into the wrong type of situations. And again, just loving every minute of being a parent. You're gonna have your bad days. You're gonna have your great days. Some days you shoot, you can be down the middle. But again, it's all about again showing love, support. and focus to those kids, and also making sure that you're doing right by them. And the one thing I would say again for some parents that need to hear this, there's some of y'all who are moving around like kids yourselves. And I'm talking about you doing petty vandalisms, out here fighting and acting foolish and doing things along the lines that the kids don't really need to see from their parents. And I think that's a bad move right there too. Because again, you're doing certain things, and then the kids are getting that notion to say, "Well, if they doing it, why I can't do it?" And then that'll be the first thing they say. If you will just keep allowing certain things, and then now you um try to like put it in check, it's not going to work. That's just like you allowing your children to talk to you disrespectfully, even if you think it's funny. It's for play. That's not going to always be for play, because now when you decide to check certain things, or when it's a serious moment and you really are being down to earth, they're going to still think you're playing. And then they're going to still try to push those buttons and boundaries. But again, when you allow them to do certain things and you don't stop it in its tracks, don't expect to stop it later on down the line. It might not work. It might not, it's not going to work because it doesn't happen too long. Like what I was saying about that child calling his mother a little girl and something else. Yeah, that's probably something she was allowing him to do while the father wasn't around. But now all of a sudden, it became a problem to a point where, yeah, I gotta take away something from you so you know that I'm not playing with you no more. But again, I think in that moment what you're gonna do and what you're gonna say. The main thing to remember is you're showing kids how and what to expect when they mess up. If they mess up, you teach them how to take responsibility for they mess up by admitting to their mess ups, taking accountability, and then changing that. You know, because again, how they gonna learn anything if you're not teaching them it? And that's something that you should really take into consideration. But yeah, it's a hard task sometimes when you're trying to basically do the right thing. It's a hard task at times. The only reason why I say it's a hard task is because you want to make sure that your children are not being influenced by the wrong type of activities. You want to make sure that your children is leading some form of a decent life. You definitely don't want your children being back and forth within a criminal system. So, you know, you're gonna have those at times. You're gonna have those days when you're gonna be fearful, but you gotta always remember this too. You're strong, you're knowledgeable, and if your children are actually paying attention to what's necessary, and they should be good. They should be safe. And then also remember this too. There's gonna be times your children might come to you with questions about certain things. Even if you feel you ain't ready to have those discussions, you're gonna have to. And the reason why I say you're gonna have to is because again, you know, one thing you can't do is lie to your children. You can't. Even the smallest lie will cause, some form of rift. So again, you gotta be real with yourself and be real with your children. When you have to sit down and have specific conversations, whether you're uncomfortable with it or not, you're gonna have to do so, like I said before. When they come to you, if they asking you about certain things, hey, just be real and be knowledgeable with them. Don't hide nothing from them. Even down to certain truths as far as family is concerned. Now, I would say the worst thing that will mess somebody's head up, especially when they are getting into a certain age, as if you're lying to them the whole time. Like there are certain situations where kids are thinking that these people are their mothers and their fathers, and come to find out that's not even the case. Sometimes those be their uncles, their aunts. Sometimes it be their grandparents. Might not even be a family member at all. But again, I feel that's the worst thing. If you are in situations like that, um, again, your children should know the truth. I've always felt that in the worst situations, you gotta tell them that. Like children shouldn't wait until they are in their early 20s or further down the line to find out horrible truths or find out truths that should have been told from them in the beginning. That's just like a child being raised to think that their uncle is their father. You know? Now, it'd be a difference if, all right, I had to take my brother's child, my brother's deceased. When this child get old enough, I'm gonna let this child know the truth so they don't be confused. And even when I tell them the truth, 9 out of 10, sometimes those kids are still gonna look at you as their parent because you're doing what's necessary for them. So I would say in those situations right there, for those who could be in those situations, don't lie to these children. Eve, what's going on, baby? You know, and I think that's the worst thing when a child finds out that the people that have been raising them the whole time is not a legitimate parents. Because now that opens up a door of questions like, well, where's my real parents? Why didn't they raise me? You know, so on and so forth. That's why I said it's important no matter what's going on. When there's children involved, you do what's necessary to preserve the balance and the peace. But if there's things you are going to have to tell this child, then you should tell them. And definitely wait until they're old enough to understand everything and then tell them the truth. I don't think that's that hard to do, at least in my opinion. Prime example, that would have been like if my mom's had passed well after my brother was born. And I'm the one raising him. I would have to tell him I'm not his father. I'm your brother, but I'm also your guardian. So that means, you know, I'm responsible for you. I'm not gonna sit there and lie to a child that whole time and have them in confusion. Then there's some things parents are gonna have to really start taking hold to and start taking, you know, taking preservation to. Again, there are ways to discipline your children without scaring the hell out of them or having them fear for their life. But this is why I said you have to be more wise in how you break down things. If I want my child to learn a form of discipline where I don't have to necessarily strike them, then I'm gonna figure out something the way they get the picture and won't do it again. And if they happen to do it again, then I would have to hold them accountable and responsible. And then they would have to learn what that means. Okay, well, I asked you to make sure you do what's necessary in school and try not to be getting any type of calls or bad reports. You've been getting bad reports. So I'm gonna have to take away the things that you like right now until you start doing better. I would also say that the minute your children again decide to raise up that either you or the mother, then that's when you are supposed to be on discipline time. Didi, what's going on, baby? The reason why I was saying this earlier about some of the single fathers, because there's a small handful of you for real who really have this. I'm sorry, I got this single mother spirit, the bitter single mother spirit. Let me get it this right way. The bitter single mother spirit is what some of you single fathers have. You're too emotional. And how can you lead anything if you're too emotional? Tanya, what's going on, baby? You already know if y'all just tuned in, the like button. If y'all new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Drop the link in a minute in case anybody want to chime in. But again, you got to take that into consideration. How am I supposed to be leading my children, even if I am a single father, but I'm too emotional? I'm raising up at them like somebody in the streets. I'm bucking up at them like I'm ready to beat them up. You're causing a traumatic event in their brain because now they gonna feel like at some point they're gonna have to start getting it together because they might have to fight you. That's not no way a child living in fear. It's not cool. And at some point, again, and I would say that on both ends. You single mothers who are raising children, just like you single fathers out there raising children. You better remember this one point. One point is your children should never see you at your worst. They definitely shouldn't see you at your angriest. And if you have to do what's necessary to keep them in line, then you make sure you're doing what's right. Do the right things and keep them in line. Yeah, if I'm supposed to discipline my child because they was acting up, they did something that they wasn't supposed to do, and I had already informed them, then yeah, I'm gonna discipline them, but I'm not gonna punch them in their face. I'm not gonna punch them in their ribs like they grown men. And no, I'm not gonna do that. For what? That's what a belt is for. That's what your hand is for. Like I said, the belt and the buttocks go hand in hand. And I'm quite sure for some of y'all, if you got the traditional butt whooping, you didn't think to do whatever again. You learned your lesson, right? There's some of you who didn't have to necessarily always get a discipline for you to learn something and listen. Sometimes, again, your parents only had to give a certain tone, and that would be it right there for you. That's just like if you was acting out, doing certain things, and then you know for a fact, your mom's not having that. Guess what? Or your father ain't having that. Guess what? They ain't gonna embarrass you right then and then. At least from that old tradition, they ain't gonna embarrass you right then and then. But you will get embarrassed, or you will be disciplined. Sometimes you had to get disciplined because some of y'all, look, we all did it. We done tread the lines too long, and then okay, well, watch this. That's just like if you was acting a fool, you was going with either parent to take care of business, especially in buildings, and you did too much. Trust me, when you either got out or got somewhere in comfortability, you was getting disciplined because that's a defiance of that's being a defiant child. I'm asking you or I'm telling you to keep certain things in order and you still not listening. So, you gotta learn something. Again, it's how you learn responsibility and accountability. You're not gonna be responsible for your actions. So if you're not gonna be responsible, I'm gonna hold you accountable, which means I'm gonna have to discipline. There's different ways to inform your children and also again get your children in line. You just gotta see what works for you, basically. You gotta actually know what works all in all. Then you utilize that from there. And I think the minute you really get into that, Again, when you build a bond with your children, there should be nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, that keeps your kids from coming to you, speaking to you, and shouldn't be no fear in coming to you and talking to you about things. Even if they feel they could be messing up in something, or if they feel they've done something that could be messed up, you gotta still be calm, cool, and collected. Now again, throwing tantrums like a child, breaking things, destroying things, screaming and yelling all the time, that's not always gonna work. Like I said, if anything, that will put more fear into them. Even if you are still with your baby mother or your baby father or whatever, and y'all working together on things. Again, even if you have your disagreements, all that yelling, screaming, and cursing in front of the kids ain't gonna work. Because again, now they gonna feel like they're the reason why you argue. No kid wanna feel like that at all. Like no kid wants to feel like they're the reason why the parents can't get along, or the parents are getting divorced, or anything along those lines. So again, be wise and be careful of what you're gonna say and do around them. Because again, they are still emulating and they are still learning from you until they get into adulthood. Like prime example, fellas, you can't expect your young kings to, treat their ladies right if you're not treating yours right. Especially if she's still with you. That's just real raps right there. And the same thing for you ladies. Can't expect your daughters or your young queens to know how to treat a man or a decent man if you showing them how you treating their father. Constantly belittling them or calling them everything out the book outside of their name. That's not no way you want to get your little young queens to get them some real kings in life. See, like I said, it does come down to the basic parenting. What's more important? Your children learn how to be their own and also learn how to build their own and, you know, do it the right way, or having them repeat a cycle that shouldn't be repeated. My bad, y'all. I thought I had yeah, it's the workflow. Make sure everything is everything. Can't be having no alarms and shit going off this month. But nah, you can't expect your young queens to go out in the world and even find happiness or find their kings if you're not treating a main king, which is the father, right at all. Now again, if that dude is doing what's necessary, doing what's right, even if you are having disagreements, you hold those disagreements to when them kids are not there. Don't do that in front of them. Because again, what are you showing right there? You're showing them that this is a way you're gonna keep a relationship flowing with somebody. You gotta argue with them, you might even have to physically fight them. And that's not the way any relationship or marriage works. So again, you have to learn that the things that you think might be effective parenting, they ain't gonna be effective. Again, fellas, you can't expect your young kings to treat any woman with any respect or treat them as such if you're not treating your woman right. Take that into consideration. If you're teaching your kids that it's all right to be abusive in relationships, you sadly are setting them up for failures in the world as we speak. You gotta teach your kids how to be strong-willed and strong-minded individuals. Teach them how to make, you know, great decisions, especially when it does come down to who they gonna partner up with somewhere down the road. They should know the qualities of somebody that they want, and that's on both angles. Same thing with the fellas. Fellas, you're gonna have to teach your kings that these are the type of women you need to be around, or these are the type of women you would want to pursue, and you would have to teach them the other side. You have to teach them that these are the other type of women you don't want to be around. You don't want to have a situation where you got a irresponsible baby mother or baby father. Main thing I would tell anybody is that you shouldn't be going after nobody that doesn't have any real goals or ambitions in life. Because again, that's just wasted time. That's like you building with somebody, they're not trying to get a job and they got multiple opportunities, or they could even be set up in a position to where it could be good for life and they don't want to take it. Then what's the use of being with that person? That means you're going to be doing mostly all the work. Nah, that's not the way it's supposed to be. If we supposed to be building together, that means on all cylinders. James number 8, what's going on, my guy? But that's the goddamn honest truth, at least in my opinion. We gonna be building together. That means we need to be on the same page. We need to definitely make sure that we are doing what's necessary to keep ourselves preserved. And again, I can't see myself being with somebody if I'm gonna be verbally abusive, physically abusive, or even spiritually abusive. Because some people know how to destroy people's spirits just by words alone. Not doing all of that. But again, if you're going to be bringing kids in the world, you're already raising kids, try to raise them in the best light. Again, some of y'all are showing the wrong type of examples because, again, you got some of y'all fighting in front of your kids, even in public. That's not the way to look. It's not the way to go. And again, that's only showing them to a level or to some degree that this is how you got to be in order to keep love around you. No, love is not abuse on any level. Love is not making somebody feel less than. Love is not shattering the person you're supposed to be building with, shattering their dreams and overall inspirations in life. And there's some of you women who will take that from men because you don't want to see the fact of moving on. Or you already done gotten to that point of believing what somebody probably done said. Ain't nobody gonna want you after that person. You don't know what the fuck to be around that corner. But you don't let nobody tell you what it is. Like I was saying Monday about the situation about the intelligence that was not even intelligent. Your wife cheated on you, got pregnant by a whole nother dude, and you're gonna try to raise that other. You're gonna try to raise that child like it's part of your family. No, no. If you want to sit here and mess up something good, why do I need to be responsible for that? That's just true. Why do I need to be responsible for that? And you the one that made that decision. Regardless if y'all got kids together or not. The fact that she went out and and had another child out of wedlock, like come on now. What does that say? Why should I even waste my time? No, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go be with that man you decide to get pregnant with, and you're gonna raise that child together. As far as our children is concerned, we gonna figure out what we gonna figure out, and that's it. Tamika, what's going on, baby? You know, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. That's why I said there's some people out there who really got the minds of a simp. Some of y'all got too much emotions running through, and some of y'all really fear or moving on or trying to find some other form of happiness because you're you think you are limited to things. You're not limited. You limiting yourself. If you're gonna listen to somebody when they say nobody's gonna want you, nobody's gonna respect you, nobody's gonna love you, if you're sitting there listening to that BS, yo, you might as well say you cooked. Your brain is cooked because there's no way you can say that. I've seen people who I know for a fact should never utter those words, and they uttered those words because they believed it and they manifested it, and it actually happened. You know what I'm saying? You don't listen to when people say something ignorant like that. 9 out of 10, those people who try to put that on you, those end up being the ones being lonely and miserable they damn selves. And I've always believed that. When you got somebody that's trying to put you down or belittle you or even just trying to not do you right, I do believe in karma, you know, and they will get that karma that's coming. Give me 1 second, y'all. I can remember a long time ago, girl I was going to school with. Like I said, almost everybody in the school wanted her. Now, she had the opportunities to be with few people, especially those people actually had her best interest at heart. But like how some of y'all do, you bypass the good opportunities to go to something bad. And what happens? Abuse on all angles. That's how it started, the abuse. And from there, it just got worse and worse. Now, luckily, it didn't get to a point where it could have been deadly. But in the same token, you had multiple opportunities to get away from it, and you chose not to, even when you had the help, because you were so much in love with a person. But again, it's not that much love that you're going to sit there and take any form of abuse, physical or verbal. Now, where homie messed up at was, yeah, he kind of had her under the notion that nobody was going to want her because he had 2 kids by her already. Grant that. But in the same token, that shit backfired on him. All of those days of saying, if I ever leave, you ain't nobody gonna want you, nobody gonna take care of you, nobody gonna do those kids like I do those kids, yada yada yada, backfired on his ass. And that then got to a point where, you done turned around and then went out, cheated, got somebody pregnant. That nigga paying the only child support in the half right now. And the fact that you thought this woman was gonna stay with you, she finally got the courage, especially after the right people got in her head and said, listen, you don't want to take that chance, especially there's kids involved. That's a danger right there. If he's getting physically and verbally abusive with you, it's only a matter of time before he turns on the kids too. You better do what's necessary, and that's exactly what she did. She finally decided to be strong and do what was necessary. She got away from him. which was important. Again, you got to know when to get rid of certain things. You know, you can't sit there and have this type of violent nature going around you and your kids. It don't sit right. Give me a second, y'all. This nigga over here playing Biggie on the damn guitar. My bad, y'all. No, I wasn't tripping for a minute. This nigga got a beard hat on. My bad, y'all. No! I done seen it all today. I done seen it all for the day. You know, but you know, again, you got to remember that. You know, you don't tolerate any talk. You know, any form of abuse, and that's on either end. Prime example. There's some of you fellas who feel like you don't want to do certain things, especially when it comes to these women, because you don't want to either look soft or you know you don't want to lose something. But in the same token, look at your woman being abusive with you, and you ain't never put a hand on her. The first time she even think to put hands on you, you need to get the fuck up out of here. And I would say the same thing with you women. The minute a nigga put his hands on you, you need to hurry up and get up out of Dodge. That's the bearded baby. Had babies yet. Not yet, Papa Will. But we did get a new troll drop. We did get a new troll drop. Hold on. The bearded babies ain't have no bearded babies yet. You good though, Pop? One more time for good measure, man. There you go. There you go. Nah, but you know, you got to remember that part again. Um, how do you expect? How do you expect happiness? How do you expect to be, you know, in a good, comfortable position? Papa Will, you know what time it was. You know how to get out of control with it. But hold up, you missed the other control job. Come on, man. Come on into it. Come on into it.
See? Locked up. Scars pivot, gets into the edge and wins by you. And Huckleberry still leads on his own.
You know what time it was, though. No, but you know, you got to remember this part. You can't expect any form of great happiness with a counterpart, basically. If your counterpart is not on the same page as far as maturity, as far as logic, as far as preservation, safety, all of that. You can't be with somebody that's going to be a danger to you and danger to others. That's like you being with a violent man, knowing that he could be violent with you, he could be violent with the children, or violent altogether. Why would you put yourself through it? You know, and again, you gotta really think about what's necessary for yourself. In order to preserve some form of happiness, peace, and closure in your life, you gotta have the right elements and the right pieces around. Oh, for you mods up in here, if you haven't done so already, you already know y'all can drop links. You know, again, What better options do you have in life? How would you know if you're not willing to explore those options? Sometimes I'm gonna be honest with you, you gotta have the mind of a soaring eagle. There's a reason why eagles be that high up in altitude. There's a reason why they like high elevation. They don't like to feel restricted or feel limited, especially when there's multiple possibilities, you know, multiple endless opportunities and options on building and everything else. So again, gotta be mindful. You gotta have a sharp you gotta have a sharp mind, and you gotta have a strong spirit. You're not supposed to allow any form of abuse to take shape, especially if you're trying to build. And there's some people who will try to keep a family structure together only because they are fearful, or some of them just do it because they say, you know, they wanted the kids or they want the kids to still have a family. But again, I would say when you know you're in danger of even losing your family, get up out of Dodge, take your kids and keep it pushing. That's on both ends. Because again, the one thing these children shouldn't have to fear is fearing situations that involve their parents. It is time to it's time to start making more wiser decisions. And again, there are some people who are either about to be parents if they're not parents already. But again, you gotta know what's necessary when it comes down to the betterment and the building of your children. Your children are not going to gain any form of real lessons or anything along those lines if you're solely teaching them yelling at your counterpart, getting physical and crazy with your counterpart. It's not going to work. Shades, what's going on, baby? Be safe on that road, baby. Again, that's the child's worst fear, is that their parent could actually go haywire and snap. And see, the reason why you do get certain forms of men being abusive or men being too emotional in those instances, because again, if they're being raised by a single parent, whether it's a single mother or father, and they have these characteristics of a bitter life and just bitterness all in all, there goes the timeline right there. Things they learned when they was coming up, they feel that's the way it has to be done in order to preserve something. Look here, my moms didn't have to get crazy with me, but so much. And when it came down to things that I knew my father was supposed to be present for, but wasn't, it's what I still had uncles and everybody else for. So again, it is about having some form of a male figure around. Even if things ain't working with the child's father, you need to have somebody, like a brother or anything, that's going to be able to help in certain scenarios. But again, I would say this in this scenario right here. You got to know exactly who and what you're leaning for. You can't just keep making irrash decisions or poor choices. And poor choices will always be, it will always be a downfall for something that don't need to happen. Again, the most important thing you want to do is, again, instill accountability and responsibility when you need it. You got to remember this part. Um, They go by what they see. So if they see that you are arguing all the time, cursing at each other, disrespecting each other, what you think they gonna learn? Serious, what's going on, baby? I don't know what he playing now, but nigga been jamming for a minute, y'all. My bad. You know, you gotta remember that part right here too. Again, you know, gotta show them something better. But again, how can you show them any form of good lesson? How can you show them any form of a good lesson, not showing them the good lesson? Main thing I would say in that instance right there again, it's about using the right form of intelligence, especially at that moment. Do I dare get crazy with my significant other in front of my children, or do I have to wait before I, you know, have the conversation with her like I'm supposed to? Something to think about though. Again, it's about mental clarity when it's all said and done. You can't make any choice or wise decisions. Again, if your mind is cluttered or if you're not willing to do what's necessary. Because again, how do you expect your kids to learn any form of mental growth? You know, teach them that you don't always have to go into arguing and a shoving match. You or your counterpart could disagree on things and you don't have to belittle each other or even get to a point of just, downplaying each other. Pointless. But again, I would say for those single fathers, especially those that I just seen recently, some of the things that you are doing on here is not necessary. Now, again, one thing I will say about some of you parents, that's either the mothers or the fathers. Y'all got to stop embarrassing your children on social media, especially if your children is not doing anything social media wise that would cause for them to be embarrassed. With the situation I was talking about with the father slapping his son, I probably would have did the same thing, but I wouldn't have recorded it. I just would have made my recording about he's not going to be doing this, he's not going to be into this. Now, when the camera go off, that's a whole different story. You know, again, if your child is going to be doing things like the adults, then you have to discipline. Like again, your child should not be brandishing any type of weapons, and they ain't got no form of safety training. And Brandon is like, come on now. Now again, I don't blame that father because you're sitting here, you're posting up on social media, you running around with a gun or holding a gun. God forbid that gun would have went off and you would have been unalive. Then what? I still got to take that responsibility and eat that. That's why I said when it comes to certain situations, yes, you might have to physically discipline your children for them to get the picture, but you don't do it to a point where, again, you're treating them like common thugs in the street. But again, this is why it's important for fathers and just important for parents, period, to come together and start doing what's necessary. Because God forbid if something does happen, let's just say if y'all only got one child together and something happens to that child, regardless to what, you're both going to feel it. That's a part of you being ripped out. It's a part of you being ripped out. And don't think that it's not. One thing I would say too is even if something does happen, the worst thing either parent could do is blame each other for their child's loss. I've seen some situations like that. Either the father blaming the mother for something, or the mother blaming the father, or they both blaming each other. But in the same token, that's not going to bring your child back, or that's not going to help the situation even more. That's just causing more deep wounds and pain that you don't want to deal with. Fellas, prime example, if your woman had a miscarriage, don't make it like it's her fault, or don't put her in that notion that it's her fault. Sometimes things do happen, especially if she is doing what's necessary and it was just not meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. But you don't make her feel less than. There's a lot of y'all that again you want to build, you want to start a family, you want to try to live that cozy, comfortable life, right? But you fail to realize that at certain points, you're gonna have to step in the battlefield as a parent to make sure your children are straight. Again, main thing you want to make sure your kids is not doing is being a part of any form of gang activity, or you want to make sure they're not dealing with any type of street activity that could get them hurt or arrested or worse. That is your responsibility as a parent. To make sure that your kid is definitely in the right mind space. You want your kids to excel and succeed in life, even beyond college. It starts from when they're young. You gotta know what to teach them. You gotta be responsible in the things you teach them, and you must stand on your principles, regardless to how you may feel. But you also don't be, you don't be a dictator or a tyrant in your household. Again, there's ways to show your kids better and show your kids how to prepare for life. I don't necessarily have to get crazy on it. That's why it's important. Again, when they're young, you teach them what you can teach them. When they able to understand what they need to understand, and then you revisit at some points. You know, because again, your child is going to face all forms of peer pressure from all angles of society. But again, you got to make sure that you step in when you need to, and you give them that strength, support, and that guidance that you're supposed to as a parent. And when they do become adults and they decide to make their own decisions in life, they'll pretty much know where to go from there. And if you teach them the right things on all accounts, including love and relationships, when it's time to have those talks, trust me, they will take themselves and make preservation as serious as need be. But you're just teaching your daughter's prime example that you gotta suck and do everything else just to get what they need, or you just gotta flaunt something to get what you need, that's a problem. If you're teaching your sons that the only thing they need to do in life is hustle on the block and take all forms of risk and dangers just to try to get a dollar, that's a problem. That's why I said there's certain instances where not everybody's meant to be a parent. But honestly, I was saying that notion right there again. If you know for a fact there are children around you that could be going through forms of abuse, step in and say and do what's necessary. You're gonna have to. Why should these kids suffer when you could try to help possible? Do something better. But again, you gotta show them the best ways and the best examples. Teach them that again when it comes to love, relationships, or even marriage, that it's a full term commitment. And everything must be a compromise, not a sacrifice. Teach them that when it comes down to really building with somebody, build with somebody who loves you for who you are, inside and out. All your imperfections, your flaws, and even, your strengths and your weaknesses. That is what you're supposed to look for more than anything. That's also how you form solidarity, at least in my opinion. You want to make sure that your children are, learning the best things for when they get old. Again, stimulate their mind when you're supposed to. And again, no matter how you decide to show your children or try to discipline your children, show them that there's ways that they're going to be able to counteract certain things without having to get crazy. I don't got to beat you. I don't have to yell at you, none of that. If I deem you doing something that you're not supposed to be doing and you're still doing it, I'm going to take away what you feel is important. Like I said earlier, if your game system isn't important to you, it won't be that important if I got to take it from you. Your technology, if any way, shape, or form is important to you, guess what? Won't be that important. And that's what you necessarily have to do in those instances. Again, you know, you have to show them that yes, there's levels to this, and when it comes to doing what's necessary for preservation, you are willing to go the distance to do so. If I want my child to maintain some form of, comfortable existence or some form of a decent life, I got to show them decent. And if I'm not showing them decent, then I'm messing up. My fault, y'all. See, like I was just getting ready to say, and see, I always end up catching something on camera. I will start catching more irresponsible acts on camera to show y'all what I be talking about. Now, prime example, a while back I told you the dude damn near compromised himself and his family because he was trying to get somewhere to do something or get somewhere to get something when you could have literally just went somewhere else and actually paid for the thing and didn't have to get crazy. You almost lost your freedom for the night or for those couple days because you was willing to try to risk it to steal something, even if it was for your child. Come on, fellas. There's better ways to do things, even if you don't got it. Stealing is not always going to be the form or the way to get to what you need to get to. Sometimes it is important that if you are going through certain struggles, that you open your mouth and you speak to who you need to speak to. And if they are going to be willing to help you, then they help you. But why put yourself in a serious position just because you thought that was the best way to get something for your child? I shouldn't have to steal nothing, sneakers, clothes, electronics, anything. I shouldn't have to steal just to give my child what they need or what they want. Because again, when it's all said and done, you got to bear that burden. You end up getting wrapped up and end up doing some serious time because you done did this more than once. You leaving your family at risk. Again, for you young fellas out there, think before you do things. And if you know these things could definitely cost you your freedom or your future, and you definitely got a family to look after, uh, find another way to get to what you got to get to. Stop taking penitentiary chances and risks. And again, a closed mouth don't get fed. There could be opportunities right around your way, but if you're not trying to be open and honest about it, you ain't gonna never get to it. There's ways to do things. It's all about decisions at the end of the day. What decisions you make, that's up to you. If those decisions might affect your family, you better think twice about it. No doubt, Ollie, appreciate you, baby. The link is pinned in case anybody want to chime in on this convo. Not going to hold y'all all night. It's been kind of a busy evening already. Still got foot traffic and everything out. But yeah, again, for some of you young fathers out there, whether you've been raised by a single mother, single father, or both, some of the things that you think is parenting, it ain't parenting. That's abuse. You're showing physical abuse aspects on things when you start again getting into that notion of breaking things, destroying things, letting your anger get the best of you. Got to start doing better. And again, I would say for those who aren't parents yet or on the way to being parents, if you feel it's getting too much or if you feel you're lost in the sauce, take some parenting courses. While pregnant, you should be taking childbirth classes and everything else along those lines. Because again, those are important elements on how to somewhat start building your family. It's not going to be easy, but it shouldn't be that hard either. Because again, you are bringing life into the world. You're going to be solely responsible for that life. If you want that life to live a great life, you got to give them great lessons, show them great, teach them, and show them that there are no limitations in life. That is a mindset that everybody should remember. There's only limitations in life if you decide to limit yourself. That's why, again, you got to have that spirit or that mindset of a leader. I'm gonna be at my highest plane. I'm not gonna be too high where I could suffocate, but I'm gonna be high enough to where I could create and explore multiple bounds of opportunities and growth. It is about growth at the end of the day. Mental growth and spiritual growth. They go hand in hand. And again, teach them something about it. Again, teach them how to genuinely build when it comes to anything. Love, business, anything that they pursue in their life. Show them the goods and the bads of things, the pros and the cons, and then also show them the process of elimination. You eliminate a lot of the madness and you eliminate a lot of the tensions out of your life when you make the decisions that are necessary for you. James, what's going on, my guy? Again, you want the best results for life, not for the moment. You want that for life. You want your children to be on solid ground when they adult. So when they build and create their own families, they can take what you have instilled in them and what you taught them, and they can use it and utilize it for their own. And yeah, some kids are not gonna get what you're talking about right away, especially when you do give them some form of great advice or some form of a great quote. Sometimes it might go over their head, but when they do get old enough, they'll realize what you was talking about. Teach them how to be their own independent thinkers. Teach them to be leaders and not followers. And if they're going to follow something, let them follow something that's going to lead them to some form of greatness. Let it lead them to something where they're going to be able to consistently build, grow. And definitely make sure that if they're going to be led by something, that it should lead them to overall happiness and prosperity. So for you to be a great leader of your household, you gotta have leadership qualities. That means even when you are wrong about something, or even if you failed at something, you learn to take the accountability and responsibility. You don't point the fingers at them. You just do what you need to do again for the betterment of you and yours. Nonetheless, though, just wanted to bounce that off the heads real quick. But again, hopefully everybody's enjoying their Wednesday evenings. Hopefully everybody was smoothly gotten through the work day. I know a lot of y'all preparing for Mother's Day weekend. And I'm going to say this, every day technically is Mother's Day, but I know y'all going to be doing it up big this weekend. And if you got family that's showing all the love and support, hey, embrace every moment of it. Ladies, if you got children, grown or young, and they doing whatever for you, even if it's just the simplest gift, hey, embrace it and cherish it. You know? Some of y'all might be doing dinners, some of y'all might go out to events. No matter what you do exactly this weekend, just make sure you keep yourself preserved, keep yourself safe, like I said, and just enjoy the blessings. I don't know. I think this weekend is going to be a little eerie for me only, but I think I know how I'm going to substitute that void that I got, and I'm gonna do the big thing. Definitely go check the G mobs, and who knows, might be a Mother's Day dinner. So, and again, for those who are still able and still have any form of bond with their parents, mothers or fathers, y'all embrace this weekend as well too. Those who still are fortunate to have their mothers, prime example, show that woman all the love and show her all the beautiful blessings you got to offer. Do what's right for them. Make that day special for them. But if you already been making every day special for them, then you pretty much know what you got to do. For those who might not have their mothers during this weekend, I would say, either go visit their grave. If they cremated, sit down, light a candle, say a silent prayer. And also say a healing prayer just in case. But also, again, cherish all the good memories. It's the one thing you should remember. You build the best possible options for yourself while you got the time to do it. But yeah, I'm gonna revisit that part of two. Um, Guess I got part twos to two things this week. Because again, Monday's conversation was definitely needed. Tonight's conversation was definitely needed. Be safe on that road, Shake, baby. For anybody that might be on the road tuning in, be safe on the roads. No, these fools don't know how to drive nowadays. Amy, what's going on, baby? For those who might have just been tuned in, y'all could definitely catch the beginning of the replay. I think I pretty much said what I need to say. Again, for you single fathers out there, don't show your children just aggression, anger, and also just immaturity. There's ways to discipline your children without going off the deep end and making them feel less than. You fail to realize when you do certain things, you're not just scaring them, but you're embarrassing them, especially if you're recording it. And that's one thing I would say. There's most fathers, especially with that old school mentality. Whatever was off of social media doesn't come on social media. I think that's a problem now to a degree with some of these people now, men and women. Y'all come on here and you embarrass your children. If things are happening behind the scenes, keep it behind the scenes. Don't try to make that a world service announcement because again, if you don't want specific backlash or anything along those lines, keep it off of social media. Period. I'm good, Amy. Workflow as always. Know I had to chime in with the people. Again, I was going to bring this conversation yesterday, but it's too much of a busy one, overloaded one. But again, I appreciate those who had tuned in last night for the clapper stream. And for those who was confused, I know what the problem was. So I know what I'm gonna have to start doing from now on in order to not get looked at a certain way. So prepare for it. Prepare for it. Hope all is well with you though, sis. I tried to catch you live recently and I missed it by 2 minutes. But this is the thing. Again, you got to remember that when it comes down to all in all emotions and how you do things, you can't make it the way your kids are fearful again for their life. I don't care how angry you might be at that present time. You got to remember the decisions that you make could make or break certain things. No, I know, Shays. Don't worry. You caught part of it. So I'm just saying for those who may have just been tuning in, you know, this was definitely a great conversation that was needed. And I would reiterate for some about Monday. Monday's conversation was needed as well too. Again, and I would speak for those gamers. Make sure that if you're going to be in any form of relationship with somebody, that they support you in the things that you do. Now I'm gonna say it because again, if you're a professional gamer, if this is not so much as a hobby, this is how you get your bread and butter. This is how you're living. They gotta be able to deal with it. And if they can't deal with it, then you find somebody who can. Oh wow. I was wondering what happened to you, sis. Definitely healing prayers for you. Anybody that could be going for any form of surgery, healing prayers. But remember to keep yourself strong and keep yourself, elevated. Gotta always remember that. Keep yourself strong, keep your mind sharp, keep your spirit sharp. It might be fearful for some, especially for those it might be their first time. But again, keep your spirit held high, keep your faith strong, and just know that you're gonna come out on top no matter what. You know? It's a process with certain things in life. But yeah, as far as what I was saying, Monday's conversation was again that was more for people who are you know, like I said, if you're becoming professional gamers, if this is how you're getting your money, if this is how you are earning and building, you got to make sure the person you with sees that for what it is. Like I was saying Monday, it was crazy because again, that could have been an emotion of he could have did something crazy to mess himself up, mess his family up. Because if he would have decided to put his hands and feet on this girl, 9 out of 10, he would have been separated from his child, catching a domestic violence case and all of that. Or if he would have decided to go off the deep end and didn't care, he could have unalived every last one of y'all, including himself. Again, like I said, when men find things that give them peace, ladies, you don't destroy that peace. If a man is being respectful on your ends, if there's things that give you peace and comfortability and gives you solace and they don't mess that up, you shouldn't do that to them because you're upset about something. And again, conversations need to happen. If you're both unhappy about certain things, you have to start letting it be known. Sit down at the table and talk. Because again, how do you expect your relationship to flourish? How do you expect your marriage to withstand the test of times if you're not communicating with each other? And definitely don't mess up something that becomes not so much as a hobby. It becomes your bread and butter and it becomes the way that you earn it. Because you can mess that up. And again, when people don't respect your boundaries, they don't respect your well wishes, you have to eliminate that. I hear you, Amy. That's a blessing right there. You know, that's what I'm saying. You know, sometimes you just when you feel good things, you leech on to them. Well, I'm not gonna say leech on to them. You know, you definitely keep that within grasp. You know, take that into consideration again. You know, if you found somebody that's giving you some form of peace and solace, and they are doing everything legitly, if they're doing it not just for show and tell, but they actually are being a great part of your support and your building, you don't mess that up. Not for no petty emotions or anything along those lines. Again, you just got to remember, in order for things to flourish the right way, you have to communicate. When you're not communicating, you're missing out on key elements and important things. Fellas, listen to your women when they tell you the things that they like and don't like. And same thing with you ladies. If a man is telling you certain things he's uncomfortable with, take that into consideration. The same way you want a man to take your needs and feelings into consideration, you have to do the same thing as well. Again, you got to work with each other. And that's the thing. See, and that was good right there. That's a good motion right there. Because again, if you're going to deal with somebody, you got to be able to accept everything, flaws and all. Whatever they could be doing, whether it's something that again gives you peace or something that you're actually doing and it's becoming something, you're building from it, they're not supposed to destroy that. They should. If a person really likes you and wants to be with you for you, and they're showing you that day in and day out, hey, that's something you should really be trying to lock in on and focus on. And again, there's some of you who are messing yourselves up because again, you're allowing emotions to get the best of you. It's time to stop that. If you're unhappy about something, if you want your partner to take something serious, then again, you have to open your mouth and say something. Again, never be scared to voice your opinion, express your opinions, or just express your thoughts when need to. The minute you start limiting yourself, or the minute you start doing that silent treatment, nothing will ever change or get better. And again, you can't change somebody's personality. You can't change who they are as a person. What you can do is again accept everything, flaws and all, and learn how to keep the communication doors open. The more you communicate, the more you get to know about each other. The more you get to know about each other, the faster at some point the process becomes. Or if that's somebody you're going to deal with entirely, or if that's somebody you're just going to have some form of a fling with, or somebody you might not be interested in at all, at least not on that level. But again, how would you know if you don't have these conversations? Again, that's the most important thing that needs to be brought back into the element of things: conversations. And yeah, see, prime example, like I said Monday. If this girl would have had this conversation with this dude about how she felt and not just try to destroy something that's been his bread and butter and that actually got them in that comfortable position of living, if she wouldn't have took the steps she took, you know, I highly doubt, I highly doubt that it would have led to their breakup. But then again, they ended up getting back together, I heard, as of recently. But see, I'm gonna say it like this, and I would say that on any angle. The minute you have almost destroyed somebody's peace and balance the first time around, the way they could have been a detriment to themselves or even you don't deserve a second chance. And honestly, I've always felt this way. If a person is going to do that much, if they done something like that the first time around, what makes you think they won't do it again? I would say for that, bro, you better make sure that she done learned her lesson about everything. But again, when you mess up a balance like that, it's hard to get back. So again, you got to remember key decisions, how you do things, are going to play an important role into your life. If you ain't willing to make certain compromises, if you're not willing to compromise what's needed and necessary, uh, you won't be growing anywhere with anybody, and you definitely won't be going higher up in life. But yeah, just something I want to bounce off the people again, fellas. Again, when you've had a situation with somebody and it got to a point where it could have been detrimental on either angle, your peace should be the most important thing. Always remember that part. Your peace is supposed to be the most important thing out of all of that. Oh, Lord. But yeah, shout outs to everybody that popped in tonight. For those who might have been late to the show, you can definitely catch this replay. It's time for me to start being responsible. But again, shout outs to everybody that pulled in. Y'all can definitely catch this replay. Hopefully somebody got something out of this. You already know when I bring something to the people, we gonna keep building, we gonna keep growing. So Shout out to everybody who's been part of the bill, still being a part of this bill. Still got more great conversations and content to bring. And I'll be back in the morning with the Scythe. And for those following me on Clapper, I'll definitely be giving y'all some good vibes tomorrow. I believe I gotta work tomorrow night, but I'm gonna try to give y'all the vibes early in the afternoon, if anything. Hammer, what's going on, baby? Hope you enjoyed your birthday weekend, baby. Appreciate you, Shays. Oh, wait a minute. Those who might have just been coming in here. No, I told y'all to take my device months ago and y'all didn't listen. Here you go. My bad, my bad. You know, I gotta introduce the new troll drop. I told y'all to take this shit weeks ago and y'all didn't listen. Ain't nobody listen. But I guarantee you gonna listen today. Listen today. Watch this.
Oh yeah, no you love it, muscle lips. Let's go. Lap it up, you hungry son of a bitch. Whoop! Sorry.
Get a handle on your frisbee, college boy.
Oh, you do not want to go.
No problem, Amy. You already know. Shoot. For those who haven't been getting notifications or those who really have been, you know, influential to this build, if you ain't getting notifications, you already know. Sub and well, unsub and sub again, or just refresh that notification bell. Trust me, it's more madness coming. Don't laugh at that, Shades. That's not funny. That's not funny. See, now I gotta give y'all something to be scared about for the night. See, I gotta give y'all something to be scared about for the night.
See? Locked up. Scars pivot, gets into the edge and wins by you. And Huckleberry still leads on his own.
One more game. Nah, but again, you know, hopefully somebody did get something out of this. And again, we gonna be back in the morning. Get up out of here. Y'all enjoy y'all evenings. I'll see some of y'all running around these streets. Gotta make some calls on the back end. Y'all was new to the channel. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to the replay game. Shout out to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. Everybody that was in attendance tonight, y'all already know that love is love and it be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I do is give you real. That's all I'm gonna do is give you real topics and real bills. And I'm gonna leave y'all with some good old love. I got y'all. Y'all stay safe. Keep that third eye open. Until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings.